As you can probably tell from my accent and maybe some grammar mistakes, I'm not a native English speaker. I actually became fluent by watching YouTube videos and practicing on my own. I often get comments like, I can understand you, but I can't speak like you. So, today I want to explain why you might be able to understand English but still struggle to speak it fluently or express yourself well, and how to fix that. Let's dive in. Hi guys, it's me again. For those who are new here, I speak three languages, that is English, Hindi, and a little bit of Spanish. And before anyone in the comments saying I'm not bragging, I'm really not. I am no language genius. When I was learning Spanish, I literally cried every single day. So, no, I'm not some prodigy. I'm sharing this because I have walked the same path many of you are on right now, and I just want to share my experience. I know there are people out there who can speak over 20 languages. So if I wanted to flex, I'd wait until I hit like 10 languages, not just 3. Now here's the thing, most of us learn English in school, and even though many people can't understand English, but they cannot speak fluently. In most of the public schools around the world, students study English for years, yet they can't speak fluently and confidently. That's a big problem. In the early days of my English journey, I could understand simple conversations, but I really struggled to express myself or speak fluently. The first issue with how we are taught languages is that the system is heavily input based. And research shows that input based learnings alone isn't very effective. We need to focus more on the output based learning as well. But before we dive into that, let's quickly break down what those terms mean. So, first of all, let's talk about what is input based learning. So, input based learning is when you absorb information like listening or reading, and output based learning is when you actively use that language. Basically, when you apply the things that you have learned, like speaking or writing. Most language schools focus too much on the input. You read and listen a lot, but you don't get enough chance to speak or write. And honestly, no matter how much input you get, what really matters is your output. If you don't use what you learn, you don't actually retain it. I will probably drop a link in the description below so that you can just check it out. So, if you have already watched my videos before, you have probably heard me talk about active recall. It's one of the most effective ways to learn. It's basically an output based method where you ask yourself questions and try to answer them. That active effort helps brain retain information. So how can you shift from input to output based learning? Well, when I was learning English on my own, I realized pretty quickly that I was doing too much input. I was watching hours of YouTube videos in English, but I wasn't actually practicing or speaking. So here's what I started doing. After watching each video, I would summarize it in my own words and explain it to an imaginary friend. I know that sounds a little weird, but actually it worked for me. And don't worry, there are better options too. The reason this worked is because I was actively trying to express what I learned. It also helped me check whether I truly understood the video. Even if I don't fully get it, I'd still try to use new vocabulary in my summary, and that helped me remember and apply new words better. The only downside was, since I was already talking to an imaginary friend, there was no one to correct me. My grammar, my vocabulary, and pronunciation mistakes went unnoticed. Even now, I still make grammar and pronunciation mistakes. If you watch my older videos, you will see I often said pronunciation instead of pronunciation, or the word foreigner incorrectly. I noticed these errors because of the comment sections, which was super helpful by the way. But that just shows how important the feedback is. It's nearly impossible to perfect your pronunciation or grammar through self study alone. Not saying it's totally impossible, but it's really hard. And getting feedback from someone else, especially a native speaker, is one of the fastest ways to improve. But the problem is, where can you find native speakers to practice with? So I found some platforms like Clappingo or Camly are perfect for this. By the way, these are not sponsored video. They have not given me any money to promote that. So I'm just giving my general opinion. You can talk to native English speakers in real time, get feedback immediately, and improve much faster. I also want to say, if you're watching my videos to learn English, please don't rely solely on me. I'm still learning too. I make mistakes. If you do copy me, you might end up repeating my errors too. That's why it's better to pronunciation and help you progress properly. Cambly also offers vocabulary and grammar reviews, which I think super useful. And the more you repeat your mistakes, the more likely they will become your habits. The habits that hard to break. So trust me, it took me months to change how I say pronunciation instead of pronunciation, and I still catch myself slipping up. So it's best to learn things correctly right from the start. So tools like Cambly or Clappingo can really help you do that. Now I read something interesting in a book that author suggested a creative way to practice output. So there's a way we can do that. Create an Instagram or YouTube account just for your language practice. Whenever you read, watch or hear something in your target language, take a photo or screenshot and write a caption about it. It's a great way to practice output, and if you make it look nice, you might even start earning from it today. Of course, the goal isn't making money, of course, it's language growth, but hey, that's a bonus. This YouTube channel, for example, has been a powerful tool for me. I'm always speaking and thinking and creating English now. It helped me improve so much a lot. If you have watched my older videos, you have probably noticed my English has gotten a lot better. It used to take me hours to record one video, but now I can just sit here and talk to you casually, and that's a big win for me. So I highly recommend to start a YouTube or Instagram account for your own language journey. But YouTube can be more time consuming. I know that it requires editing and a lot of stuff, but Instagram is quick and easy, so you can just post and go. Plus, it's also a fun way to track your progress and reflect on what you have learned over time. So, yeah, give it a shot. I think it's a fantastic idea. Now, let's talk about the second biggest issue, that is lack of confidence. If you're not fluent in English or any new language, it's totally normal to feel nervous. A lot of us worry that others might make fun of how we speak. And unlike some feel good videos out there, I'm not going to sugarcoat it and say, oh, don't worry, no one will love you at all. The reality is, yes, some people will definitely make fun of you. Take my channel for example, I get comments all the time that you pronounce this word wrong, you do that, or you said that totally wrong. How can you call yourself a polyglot? People mock my accent too, saying it's hard to understand how annoying you are. What wild is the people who make fun of others' accent usually only speak one language themselves. I honestly don't get it why tear someone for doing something you can't even do. Anyone who has ever tried to learn a language knows that non-native speakers will make mistakes. Part of the process. But for some reason, monolingual people don't always get that. And they're often the loudest critics. But here's what really matters. What do you think about yourself? If you love your accent, embrace it. If you want to improve it, that's great. Either way, it's your journey and it's completely okay. And yeah, I know, don't care what people think is easier said than done. But trust me, the more you practice, the more confident you will become. And over time, you just won't care as much. Especially when you realize that some of the people criticizing you can barely speak their own language properly, let alone another one. And don't forget, English isn't your first language. Of course, you're going to make mistakes. That's not just okay, it's expected. You don't need to be perfect. In fact, the more you chase perfection, the more you'll hesitate to take action. Perfectionism slows you down. And newsflash, nobody is ever perfect. So please don't let that hold you back. Now let's talk about the third issue, the fun factor. When you're learning a language, especially if you're trying to be perfect all the time, you can end up forgetting to just enjoy the process. When I was learning English, I was super motivated because all I wanted was to understand James Clear. That was literally my reason. I was obsessed with makeup tutorials and the beauty communities at that time, and I just had to keep up. As I started to understand more of his fast paced English, it felt so exciting. That joy kept me going, and the more I understood, the more confident I felt. It became a fun, rewarding experience, not just an academic one. Even if you are learning English for school or work, don't forget to enjoy it. Having fun makes it so much easier to stay motivated and stick with it. One day, when you are fluent, you will look back on this part of your journey and laugh, just like I do now. I still remember the day how hard it was for me to learn Spanish during my prep year in college. I literally cried a lot, honestly. But I also loved Spanish culture and the language itself. And now, looking back, those struggles are actually really good memories. So, yeah, don't forget to